They'll smile in public. They'll crack a few jokes, post their little stories, maybe hang out with new people pretending the past never touched them. And if you're not grounded in truth, my friends, you might start to believe it too. You might start thinking, maybe they really didn't care. Maybe it was just me. But don't let their performance fool you. They may look calm on the outside, but inside, your absence is pulling them apart, piece by silent piece. Because here's the truth, folks. You were never the problem. You were the rhythm in their chaos. You were the grounding energy they never learned how to hold. And now that you've gone quiet, now that you've pulled back, without slamming doors or making noise, they are left with nothing but their own conscience. And guess what? It's louder than you ever were. People don't break down in front of you. They break down after you've gone. They break down when the distractions wear off, when the lights are off, when they come home and your energy isn't there to greet them. You were the mirror that reflected who they could have been. Your presence called out a version of them they weren't ready to rise into. And now that mirror is gone, and they can't stand what they see without it. They try to replace you, but nothing fits. It's like trying to plug the sun with a flashlight. They can post, party, flirt, distract, but every substitute just reminds them how real you were, how calm, how consistent, how rare. The silence you left behind is now a shadow that follows them everywhere they go. And they'll never tell you that, because to admit your worth now would be to confess their failure. And folks, pride is louder than honesty. But silence? Silence exposes it all. You're not haunting them with drama. You're not chasing. You're not screaming to be heard. And that's exactly why it's working. You've become a void they can't ignore. Your detachment is echoing through their life, like thunder they pretend not to hear. You see, when someone loses a person who begged, they feel relief. But when they lose someone who simply walks away, that's when the shame sets in. That's when the weight of regret starts sinking deeper than they ever expected. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate." That's what's happening to them right now. They are being ruled by the ghost of what they couldn't hold. You didn't leave to punish them. You left because you finally saw the pattern for what it was, unworthy of your light. And now they're stuck trying to figure out what hit them. But it's not what hit them. It's what left. This isn't about revenge. This is about clarity. This is about standing in your stillness so powerfully that they are forced to hear what your presence used to protect them from the truth. Your absence is the loudest message you'll ever send. It says, "I loved you, but I love myself more now." And when they realize they can't unfeel you, can't unsee you, can't unlearn the way you made them feel, that's when the lesson begins. And hey folks, don't just listen and nod like this is another video you'll forget in 5 minutes. Make it real. Anchor this moment. Prove to yourself and to the future you who's watching from the other side of healing that you're not going back. That the version of you who overgave, who over-explained, who overstayed is done. Write it in the comments right now like your breakthrough depends on it, because it does. Type it like a declaration, like a line in the sand. My absence is powerful. Let the world feel it. Let your past self feel it. Let the one who lost you feel it. And if something deep inside you stirred while listening to this, if you felt chills, fire, clarity, or peace, don't scroll away. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. This is not the end. This is the rebirth. Number 1. Emotional echoes. How your absence becomes their background. Noise. At first, they thought it would be easy. Simple. Just block you, ignore you, cut the cord and carry on like nothing happened, like you were just a temporary character in a story that no longer suited their narrative. And maybe, for a while, it worked. They distracted themselves, they laughed louder, they scrolled faster, they convinced themselves they were free. But what they didn't realize, my friends, is that your energy was never skin deep. You weren't noise, you were frequency. You weren't a moment, they just treated you like one. And now, without warning, they're being haunted by the quiet hum of your absence everywhere. You became background noise they can't turn off. It's in the song that randomly plays in the car that used to be your favorite. It's in the way someone else speaks a certain phrase, and it hits just like you used to say it. It's in the smell of your old perfume in a stranger's jacket. It's in the silence that follows when no one else checks in the way you used to. That's the thing about energy. It doesn't vanish just because they pretend it didn't matter. Your absence lingers like a ghost. Not loud, not angry, just undeniable. And let's be real, part of you probably wonders why they don't say anything, why they haven't reached out, why they're pretending so well. You think, if they're hurting, why won't they admit it? But folks, hear me. Pride is a heavy armor. Some people would rather drown in silence than confess they miss the very thing they once discarded. They thought they could cut you off and walk away clean. But they didn't walk away clean. They walked away echoing. And those echoes, they're louder now, louder in the silence, louder when they lie awake at night, louder when they realize no one has replaced what you gave. They assumed they'd forget you, that time would wash you off like dust from their hands. But instead, every day you've been gone has stitched a deeper contrast, because nothing tastes the same when it's missing soul. Nothing feels full when the person who once brought peace is gone. That laughter they post, it's hollow. That smile, it's performative, because they didn't lose a person. They lost a sanctuary. And your absence has become the soundtrack to their solitude. Now, here's the part most won't admit. They didn't even know how much you meant until you disappeared. When someone is constantly available, their presence gets taken for granted. It's like having a warm fire, always burning. You stop appreciating the heat until the cold creeps in, and now that warmth is gone. And trust me, they feel the chill. They feel it when they wake up and realize the morning message isn't there. They feel it when they reach for someone emotionally and get nothing but surface energy. They feel it when they post something secretly hoping you'll see it, and you don't respond. You stopped orbiting them, and now their world is off balance. You're probably wondering, but if they feel all this, why do they act like they don't? Because pretending they're unaffected is easier than admitting they fumbled something sacred, because to admit your absence hurts would mean admitting they caused it. And that kind of accountability, that's spiritual warfare for some people, but don't let their silence convince you they're untouched. That silence is full of your voice now. You've become the echo they can't escape. This is why detachment is so powerful, because you don't need to scream, you don't need to post cryptic messages, you don't need to prove that you're doing better. Your absence does all of that for you. It's the whisper in their ear at night. It's the tension in their chest when they see someone who reminds them of you. It's the weight they carry into every new connection that doesn't come close to your energy. And the worst part, they can't even blame you. You didn't explode, you didn't beg, you didn't chase, you just left. And now they're stuck with the echo of everything they didn't say, everything they didn't do, everything they never appreciated. You don't need closure when they're already being haunted by your absence. You don't need revenge when every silence, every reminder, every emotional echo is teaching them the lesson for you. Your job now is to stay gone. Stay grounded. Keep building. Let the universe handle what they couldn't. Because trust me, folks, they feel it every single day. So when your heart starts to question, when your mind says maybe I should reach out, maybe I should remind them, don't. Let the echo do the work. You already said enough. You already gave enough. Now your absence is speaking volumes, and it's saying what you no longer need to say out loud. I was the light, and you chose darkness. If this hit you like truth wrapped in calm fire, don't just sit there. Let the universe know you're claiming this moment. Type it in the comments right now. I am their echo. Say it with clarity, with peace, with power. And if this just reminded you that your silence has a purpose, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me. We've got more to reveal. Number 2. Psychological haunting. Why your energy still lives in their mind. They thought it was your body they'd miss, the comfort, the routine, the physical nearness, but what's really haunting them now isn't your touch, it's your energy, your calm presence, your way of making everything feel safe, even when the world was loud and uncertain. You didn't just show up physically, you showed up spiritually. You brought peace into chaotic moments. You softened edges they didn't even know they had. And now that peace is gone, replaced by noise, static, emptiness. That's what they never calculated, my friends. They thought energy was replaceable, that they could find someone else with the same softness, the same depth. But energy like yours isn't something you bump into on the street. It's once-in-a-lifetime frequency. And now that it's been pulled away, their nervous system is starving. It's not emotional heartbreak they're battling, it's energetic withdrawal. Because you were their emotional oxygen, and they inhaled it like it would never run out. Now, every room feels colder, every conversation feels forced, every connection feels like a poor copy of the one they never truly understood until it was gone. That's the nature of energy, folks. It gets into your soul, and when it's taken away, there's no substitute strong enough to satisfy that ache. They may have laughed when they left. They may have acted unbothered when you walked away, but the silence that followed became a mirror. And that mirror didn't show your flaws. It showed their void. Because your energy once carried them emotionally. You didn't just listen to their words, you heard their wounds. You didn't just touch their skin, you held their fear. You weren't there for the surface, you were holding their shadow. And now that you're gone, they're being haunted by the truth. They were never ready for someone who loved them that completely. Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul." That's exactly what they're doing now, distracting themselves, running, scrolling, pretending, but none of it works. Because the soul doesn't lie. And when someone with pure, calming energy exits your life, the soul doesn't just feel the loss, it replays it. Over and over. Not just in memory, but in sensation. You became a feeling they can't recreate. So don't be fooled by their silence. Don't assume they've moved on just because they haven't said a word. Their pride may be loud, but their nervous system is louder. And that withdrawal? It's real, it's raw, it's spiritual, and it shows up in the most unexpected moments. Their laughter feels off, their peace feels fake, their sleep is restless, their new connections don't hit the same, because they didn't lose a person, they lost an atmosphere. You were a safe place in a world that rarely offers one. And now they're out in that world alone, searching for something that feels like you, and failing. They may not come back and say it. They may never admit they're haunted by your calm, your loyalty, your presence. But deep down, they know, they feel it, and they regret it more with each passing day. That's the power of your detachment. It's not angry, it's not cold, it's sacred. It says, I was the peace in your storm, and now that peace belongs to me again. So if you've been wondering whether your energy still lingers in their life, don't question it. It does. You're not a chapter they've closed. You're the book they never finished reading, and every new person they meet will be measured against the one they let go, and none of them will feel like home. So if this reminded you of your power, if it reminded you that your energy is unforgettable, then let it be known. Write it in the comments right now. I was their peace. Say it like a fact. Say it like a truth no silence can erase. Number 3. The loop of longing. Repetition. Compulsion and regret. There's something happening to them right now that even they can't explain. A quiet madness, a gnawing emptiness, a strange pattern that keeps repeating even though they swear they've moved on. They think they're looking for someone new, but what they're really doing, my friends, is trying to recreate you. Not because they've processed the loss, not because they've grown, but because they're stuck in something Carl Jung called repetition compulsion. A dangerous psychological loop where the soul tries to repair what the ego destroyed. They're chasing people who remind them of your smile, your energy, your softness, your structure. They don't even realize it, but everything they're drawn to now is coated in your fingerprint, the tone of voice, the way someone texts, the way a stranger looks at them from across the room. They're subconsciously searching for you in people who don't even come close. It's like trying to reassemble a shattered mirror with tape and hope, and wondering why the reflection still looks broken. Here's the brutal truth. They're not longing for someone new. They're longing for a second chance with someone they can never go back to. But instead of sitting with that truth and learning from it, they're running in circles, trying to restage the play. Different actors, same script, but it never lands the same. Because what they had with you was rooted in depth, in realness, and they burned it while it was still breathing. And now they're trapped in the loop, meeting people, getting bored, chasing validation, comparing everything and everyone to a memory they can't properly name out loud. That's the haunting. That's the hidden wound. They thought they were free, but what they've really done is chain themselves to an unresolved version of their past. And you, my friend, are that unresolved version. Not because you weren't clear, not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't ready. And now they're paying the price for ignoring what was meant to be healed through accountability, not avoidance. They can date 100 people, sleep in 1,000 beds, post like they're living their best life, but none of it sticks, none of it satisfies, because your energy wasn't something they experienced. It was something that transformed them, and when something transforms you, it marks you. It doesn't fade with time, it echoes, it haunts. And when they lie awake at night, scrolling, distracting, overthinking, there's one thought that keeps creeping back in. I had something real, and I destroyed it. But don't mistake this madness for progress. They haven't changed. They're just circling the drain, because no matter how many faces they try to project your presence onto, it won't work. You can't reconstruct wholeness through replacement. And the soul knows this. That's why every new connection they chase feels emptier than the last. That's why every moment of fun feels followed by a quiet crash. It's not just regret, it's psychological erosion. And they did it to themselves. Meanwhile, you're rising, you're healing, you're breaking your loops, because you had the courage to sit with the pain, not run from it. And that's the difference between you and them. You're facing forward. They're trying to rewind a movie they already destroyed. And it's driving them mad, not because they miss the idea of you, but because they finally understand who you were, and they can't unsee it now. So if you ever feel tempted to question your impact, don't. They're spinning in a loop they built with their own hands. And your silence? That was the trigger that activated their descent. And trust me, they're still falling. Type it in the comments right now. They're stuck in the loop. Say it so your past self knows you're not going back. Say it like a declaration of freedom. And if this hit your soul like a mirror cracking open, you're out of the cycle. They're still inside it. Number 4. Mirror triggers, how they're forced to relive what they did to you. Here's what they never saw coming, the mirror effect. See, folks, energy doesn't disappear when a relationship ends. It doesn't get deleted just because someone hits block or walks away. No, energy recycles, it reflects, it returns. And now? It's being served right back to them in every situation that mirrors what they once did to you. Call it karma, call it divine order, call it emotional justice. But whatever name you give it, one thing is certain. They are being forced to relive their own behavior, and there's no mute button for it anymore. Every time they ghost someone, they remember the silence they gave you and how you never begged them to speak again. Every time someone emotionally shuts them out, they hear your voice in the back of their mind, quiet but cutting. This is how it felt. Every time they want reassurance from someone who's too distracted to care, they remember the way you once waited for answers they never gave. And it stings, not just because it's happening, but because it's familiar. It's familiar in the worst way. The same walls they built with you, now they're trapped behind them. The same dismissiveness they once used as a shield. Now it's a prison. They didn't understand what they were doing back then. Or maybe they did, and just didn't care. But now? Oh, now they care. Now they're waking up in rooms filled with people who don't love them the way you did. Now they're in conversations that feel shallow, moments that feel cold, surrounded by people who wouldn't notice if they disappeared. And in those moments, your memory isn't just present, it's piercing. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But that reflection, it's brutal, and it's showing them everything they refused to see before, not because you said it, not because you're sending reminders, but because life has become the teacher now. And the test? Is their own behavior being reflected back at them with precision. You, my friend, were the one who saw through them, the one who stayed even when it hurt, the one who offered softness when they gave you stone. You didn't just love them, you gave them the chance to grow, and they threw it away like it was replaceable, like you were replaceable. Now, every new connection, every fake smile, every awkward silence is revealing the truth they can't run from. They didn't just lose a person, they lost a chance to evolve, to become someone better. And now they're being triggered by their own patterns. They feel it when someone ignores their messages. They flinch when someone treats them like an afterthought. They're being broken down by the very energy they once gave you. Because here's the rule, folks. What you give out returns. And if you leave good people behind in your selfishness and fear, don't be surprised when that same fear visits you in a face you can't shake off. But the real pain, it's knowing they can't undo it. They can't go back and be better. They can't erase the moments they made you question your worth. And that knowledge, that's the ghost in the room now. That's the mirror they keep trying to shatter. But it always shows the same truth. You didn't deserve what they did to you. So if you've ever wondered, do they even realize what they did? The answer is yes. Maybe not all at once, maybe not in words, but in moments, in triggers, in quiet flashbacks and lingering thoughts. And the worst part? You're no longer around to offer forgiveness. Now they're left with reflection. And it doesn't lie. If this cracked something open inside you, type it in the comments right now. They're facing the mirror. Let the world feel your clarity. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you've moved on, and they're still stuck, staring at their own reflection. You broke the cycle. They're trapped in their own lesson. Number 5. The Unfinished Symphony. Why closure can't be found without you. They were counting on a meltdown, a dramatic exit, a final fight that would let them walk away feeling superior. They were prepared for chaos, for blocked numbers and long paragraphs, because that's what their ego needed to close the chapter. But instead, you gave them something they never saw coming: silence. You didn't chase, you didn't beg, you didn't break down. You just walked away, steady, silent, and strong. And my friends, that kind of ending, it doesn't end. It lingers. It echoes. It plays in their mind like an unfinished symphony, unresolved, incomplete, and now impossible to forget. You didn't give them a final scene to feed their ego, no dramatic explanation to twist into their own version of the story, no apology they could use to feel right. You left them with space, and space is unforgiving to the guilty. You see, folks, closure isn't about saying goodbye. Closure is about understanding, and you took that understanding away. Not to be cruel, but because they never deserved to be the one holding the final word. They chose silence when you needed clarity. They chose distance when you needed effort. So now, you've returned the favor with something even more permanent: emotional detachment. And here's what they're feeling now, but won't say out loud: unfinished. Not because they want to try again, not because they're ready to grow, but because their nervous system doesn't know how to process a calm goodbye. They were wired for drama, for reaction. And now that they didn't get it, their body is stuck in limbo. A restless, confused, anxious state that replays your calmness over and over again, trying to figure out why it hurts so much more than an angry exit ever could. It's like a song that builds and builds, but never drops. No final beat, no chorus, just tension. That's what your exit became. Tension they can't release. And every time they think they've moved on, every time they try to distract themselves with someone else, that tension creeps back in. Why? Because you didn't give them the closure their ego craved. You gave them the consequence their spirit needed, and now they're haunted by what could have been said, but never was. They scroll your page, wondering if you've said anything that might explain it. They check your name, hoping for a post, a message, a clue, but nothing comes. Just your glow, just your peace, just your life moving forward without them. And that, my friends, is the real closure. It's not something they're given. It's something they watch happen without them. You didn't slam the door. You just stopped opening it. And that stillness, that's where the pain really began. Because the truth is, they needed you to validate their choices. They needed your reaction to feel okay about the way they treated you. But when you gave them nothing, they were forced to sit with everything. Your calm became their chaos. Your detachment became their discomfort. And your peace. It exposed the immaturity of how they handled the ending. Carl Jung once said, "Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling." That's where you are now, calm, wise, detached. You made peace with the truth without needing them to explain it. But they're still chasing closure in an open loop, still trying to compose an ending to a song they never finished writing. And the longer the silence goes on, the louder it gets. So if you've been wondering, do they even care? Remember this: they're not just missing you, they're being tormented by the version of the story they never got to rewrite. And that, my friend, is a lesson more permanent than any apology could ever deliver. Write it in the comments right now. I am their unfinished symphony. Say it with calm confidence. Say it like someone who's already moved on. If this reminded you of your strength, your stillness, they're stuck in the loop. You're writing a new song. Number 6. Their environment is turning against them. Every reminder hurts. They thought they could erase you, Walk away, cut contact, and simply start over like you were just another phase they outgrew. But what they didn't understand, my friends, is that your energy wasn't something they just experienced. It was something that embedded itself into their world, into their habits, their routines, their spaces. You weren't a visitor, you were part of the architecture, and now that you're gone, everything around them has started turning against them. Not by accident, but by design. The clothes, the playlist, that old sweater they swore they didn't care about, it still carries your scent. That restaurant you loved, they avoid that street now. The coffee shop you used to sit in together, it doesn't taste the same anymore. Even the words you used to say, phrases, jokes, pet names, they come back like ghosts in casual conversations. A stranger says something that sounds like you, and suddenly they're spiraling. A song comes on, and their whole mood drops. That scent from your favorite candle hits them in a store aisle, and they freeze, because for a second, you're right there again. This is the part they never prepared for. They thought forgetting you would be a choice, that moving on was just about changing numbers and ignoring memories. But now, they're being ambushed by the very life they built with you. Their environment has become a battlefield, a constant reminder of what they let slip through their fingers. And it's relentless. Not just once in a while, not just when they're sad, but daily, subtle, sharp, unshakable. They might smile in photos, they might act unfazed online. But the truth is, they can't sit in their own room without something reminding them of you. Maybe it's that one hoodie you left behind. Maybe it's the song that always played when you rode in their car. Or maybe it's the silence that now sits too heavily in the space your laughter used to fill. Whatever it is, it's there, every single day. You're there, even when you're gone. And let's be clear, this isn't because you cursed them. You didn't do anything except leave with dignity. But the universe remembers what they did. The universe knows how you were treated. And now, the same energy they once ignored has turned into the same energy they can't escape. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." That's where they are now, being directed by the very memories they tried to suppress. It's ironic, really. When you were there, they were too numb to appreciate you. But now that you're gone, everything appreciates you. The walls, the air, the music. The silence screams your name. And the more they try to distract themselves with new people, new routines, new environments, the more obvious it becomes. They didn't just lose a person, they lost a presence, a frequency, a vibration that no replacement has been able to match. So if you've been wondering, do they think about me? The answer is, they don't have a choice. Their world is drenched in reminders of you, and every reminder hurts, not because of what you did, but because of what they didn't do when they had the chance. If this hit something deep, and you now know that your energy still lingers louder than ever, type it in the comments right now. I became their reminder. Say it with calm power. Say it like the truth is finally settled. And if this reminded you of your worth, your presence, and your power, the universe is doing the talking now. Number 7. You took the oxygen, now they're suffocating. They didn't realize it at the time, but you were the oxygen in the room. You were the one holding space for both of you, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. While they drifted in and out, you stayed grounded. While they avoided hard conversations, you carried the emotional weight. You made things flow. You made things safe. And now that you've gone silent, withdrawn, detached, they're suffocating. Not all at once, not in a way they can explain, but slowly, heavily. In the way the air feels heavier, the mornings harder, the joy thinner. Because it wasn't the world that changed. It was you who disappeared from it. You were the emotional lungs of the connection. They exhaled their mess into your peace, and you took it, softened it, made it manageable. You gave without keeping score. You stayed patient while they stayed distant. And for a while, they mistook that for normal. They assumed that the atmosphere you created, the warmth, the stability, the ease, was just how love feels. But now that it's gone, they're realizing something they can't unrealize. It wasn't love doing the work. It was you. And here's the part they can't explain to anyone, not even themselves. Everything feels off now. The conversations feel flatter. The laughs feel forced. The company they keep doesn't land the same. Not because those people are bad, but because none of them bring the emotional oxygen you used to provide. You were the one who could sense their shifts without them saying a word. You were the one who made the silence feel safe. You were the one who held the space for their unspoken pain, their chaos, their fear. And now they're left breathing in their own dysfunction, with no one to soften it. It's starting to hit them in the small things, the way food tastes, the way time drags, the way music sounds different. There's a dullness coating everything, and they don't know why, because they haven't faced the truth. But we know why. It's because you're no longer there to filter their world. You're no longer buffering the pain, no longer absorbing the weight, no longer pretending things are okay when they're not. Your emotional presence acted like oxygen therapy. And now that it's gone, they're gasping. See, most people don't notice the air they breathe until it's taken away. That's the paradox of your role. You were so constant, so emotionally reliable, so deeply tuned in that your support became invisible. But now that it's gone, it's all they can feel. The emptiness, the gravity, the raw, unfiltered truth of what life feels like without your soul holding theirs in place. And the worst part? They can't replace it. They can't substitute your energy. They can't download peace. So they're left in an emotional altitude their system can't handle. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." That's exactly what's happening to them now. They're surrounded by people who don't get it, who don't hold space, who don't feel them like you did. And that loneliness, that disconnection, that slow, suffocating silence they're drowning in, it's not punishment. It's the natural result of losing someone who was the air all along. So no, don't believe their posts. Don't believe their pride. Believe their restlessness. Believe their silence. Believe the energy, because the pain they're feeling isn't from losing you. It's from finally noticing that you were always the one holding them up. Now they're carrying their own weight for the first time, and they're buckling. If this just reminded you of the power you carried, of the emotional gravity you provided, then claim it. Say it out loud. Type it in the comments right now. I was the oxygen. Let the world feel that truth. Let your past self feel seen. You took your energy back, and now they're learning how hard it is to breathe without you. Number 8. Your glow-up is the loudest revenge. You didn't scream, you didn't throw a fit, you didn't expose them or go online to shame them with quotes and stories. No, you evolved, quietly, fiercely, in your own lane. And now they're watching, from a distance, from the sidelines, from behind the same pride that made them think you'd never rise without them. But you did. You didn't just heal, you leveled up. And that glow they see now, that confidence, that peace, it's louder than any words you could have ever spoken. It's the kind of revenge that doesn't look like revenge at all. It looks like freedom. See, the thing about glow-ups is that they're not just about appearance. They're spiritual, emotional, psychological. You're glowing because you finally dropped the dead weight. You stopped watering weeds. You stopped waiting for someone to see your worth and started seeing it yourself. And that shift, that inner transformation, that's what they feel every time they scroll past you, every time they hear your name, every time someone mentions you with admiration. They don't have to say it. You can feel it in the tension. You can feel it in the silence. They know they fumbled someone rare, and now they can't undo it. Your glow-up is their karma, because it shows them everything they missed while they were busy playing games, avoiding responsibility, or chasing people who couldn't hold a candle to your light. And now they're stuck watching you become the version of yourself they couldn't stand beside, the version they weren't mature enough to grow with. That burns. Not because you're trying to make them jealous, but because the very thing they thought they didn't need is now out of reach. And the truth is, they never thought you'd do it. They never thought you'd actually walk away. They never thought you'd stop explaining, stop proving, stop loving them through their avoidance. But you did. And now your life is expanding. Your heart is full. You laugh differently. You sleep better. You carry yourself with a calm they never gave you, because you gave it to yourself. And that's what's echoing in their mind. Not the loss of a relationship, but the loss of access, the loss of influence, the loss of a place in your future. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that's what you've done. You became. You stepped into your wholeness. You didn't seek revenge. You sought alignment. And that decision, that shift, that rise, that's what they can't recover from, because it proves they were never the source of your glow. You were. They just didn't recognize it. And now it's too late. Not because you're bitter, but because you're better. Better in your boundaries, better in your peace, better in your love. You're not the same person who would have dropped everything to answer their late-night texts. You're not the same soul who would have accepted crumbs just to feel close again. You've rewritten your story, and they're stuck in a chapter you outgrew. So if you're standing in that glow now, if you're walking through life knowing you never needed closure from them, only expansion within yourself, own it. Don't downplay it. Don't hide it. You worked for that light. You bled for that peace. And now you shine not to impress them, but to express who you've always been beneath the heartbreak. If this spoke to your soul, if this reminded you that becoming is the best response to being underestimated, then go to the comments right now and type, "My glow is my revenge." Let the world feel that power. Let them feel the silence. Hit that like button and subscribe, because they're still watching. And you're still rising.